Ladies and gentlemen, Rotus Oddiri. Rotus, how's it going?
Good morning, Vimba. Good morning, Femi. Morning to all our viewers out there. Beginning in Asia, trade numbers for Japan. Not good. Exports continue to decline. So total exports, 0.5% drop. Estimates were a 0.5% increase. Imports did rise by 0.2%. U.S. exports continue to fall, 11.4% drop. In May, 11.1%. China as well, another large market for Japan, we saw a drop. But for the EU and for Southeast Asia, we did see increases. Now, the trade surplus for Japan came out to about $1 billion for June, but it's a 30% drop year on year. I mean, there's a baseline 10% tariff now on Japanese exports. And one of them, of course, one of the biggest exports is automobiles from Japan going to the United States. So you look at 2024 numbers, I think second largest exporter of vehicles to the U.S. after Mexico, coming out to about 40.7 for automobiles, and then the parts themselves, 15 billion. So you're looking at about 56 billion. I think it's about 18% total of the total amount of imports that the United States brought in from automobiles and parts. So it's a big market for the Japanese, and they have been endless negotiations on the trade talks. So I know that Scott Bessent and Prime Minister Ishiba are supposed to be meeting in Tokyo, I think tomorrow, to continue talks. We understand just this morning that Rusoya Zakawa, who is the Minister of Economic Development, had a 45-minute phone call with Howard Lutnick, who is, of course, Commerce Secretary. Trump, again, yesterday reiterated that those 25% tariffs will take effect on Japan as of August the 1st. They have parliamentary elections that are coming up in Japan. And it's understood that Ishiba's party might actually lose its position, and they are being told by their constituents that you cannot capitulate to the United States. So that's where things are a bit tough for the Japanese. Going to TSMC, the largest contract chip manufacturer in the world over in Taiwan, releasing their earnings early this morning. We converted it from Taiwanese dollars to US. Almost a 40% increase in revenues, which beat 31.9 billion, beat the forecast of 31.6. Net profit climbed almost 61%. If you want to approximate 13.5 billion, beating forecasts of 12.8 billion. Their customers are NVIDIA, Apple. I mean, again, they are contract chip. They're contract chip manufacturers. So basically, they take designs from the NVIDIAs of this world, put them together. They did say that, look, it is the AI boom that actually fueled their increase. Of course, and it's also it's a good thing that the United States, at least according to NVIDIA, is now going to allow for chip sales at least for the H20 chips to China. So all in all, pretty good results for TSMC. Trump yesterday in the White House, according to reports, he floated the idea of firing Jerome Powell. And then he backed off on doing that after the markets, the markets ended up positive yesterday, but intraday trading, bonds sold off, equity markets fell, the US dollar fell. So when he now had because there's this crypto bill that is having trouble passing through Congress, and there's some hardline conservatives that don't want the bill to, there are some certain issues that they need sorted out. One of them is that they don't want the Federal Reserve to release its own CBDC, which is a central bank digital currency. They don't want that to happen. So Trump called them over to the White House to have a talk, and during those talks, apparently, according to the New York Times, he already had a letter out which he wanted to write to Powell to force him to resign. When the markets reacted the way they did, he backed off. But what's going viral is that during a press conference, he was asked about that, and he said that Biden is the one that appointed Powell. And so, of course, trust the internet. They now found the 27th. Everybody knows that Trump appointed Powell. So they put the video of that versus the video of when he appointed him, and that's what's making the rounds.
Oh my God. People wanting to get a mortgage. People want to buy a house. He's a terrible Fed chair. I was surprised he was appointed. I was surprised, frankly, that Biden put him in and extended him. As president, there are a few decisions more important than nominating leaders of integrity and good judgment to hold trusted positions in public office. And few of those trusted positions are more important than the chairman of the Federal Reserve. Accordingly, it is my pleasure and my honor to announce my nomination of Jerome Powell to be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve. Congratulations, Jay.
Then inflation in Nigeria, we've now had a deceleration consecutive of three straight months. So at 22.22 for headline for June, was 22.97 in May. April was 23.71. Food inflation has decelerated 21.9 from 21.4, 21.14. Food prices for certain staples are coming down. Stable exchange rates. The next thing that is, will the Monetary Policy Committee, will we get, I think we're getting a hold, but then folks are now saying, okay, could we possibly get a rate cut? And then the big news in banking, perhaps I think Femi may have taken this in a newspaper review, but in this day, of course, is that Femi Otedola has increased his 15% stake in First Holdco to 40%. I mean, he has absolute control at this point. He already did, but he's even strengthened that even further. Oba Otudeko, everyone should read this article in this day because it's pretty in depth. So we had about 32 billion worth of First Holdco shares that traded on the NGX yesterday. And it's about 10.4 billion shares or so, which we understand to have shifted over to him. So he's taking his 15% stake to 40. Otudeko, who, of course, remember there were some criminal proceedings against him because of how the bank was run under him when he was chair, forced out. He sold about his 20% stake or so. And we understand, according to this day reporting, that those criminal proceedings have been dropped. Hassan Odukale, of course, his holdings of about 5% also sold as well. So, Otedola has even strength. He strengthens his hand. Of course, there is, we've talked about this, the forbearance headwinds that First Bank is facing, anywhere from 800 billion to possibly $1 trillion. That we've put out this press statement, though, saying that they will address that with the central bank. Remember, the deadline there's also the deadline to raise capital, that 500 billion threshold that is due March of 2026. So they haven't completed their capital raise. They've got to do that. They've also got to handle the forbearance. But I mean, hey, the shares, I think they're up about 14% year to date. There's been a big rally in the NGX. We talked about this yesterday, and that rally has continued. Second longest consecutive rally since January of 2024. But yeah, Otedola strengthened his hand, but he's still got some waters to navigate. So do read that article in this state. It's pretty in depth.
Okay, thank you so much, Rotus. We gotta go.
Thank you.